If you find market direction quite difficult in the mornings when you are waking up to trade, then this video might be helpful for you. So it's a bit of a preview as to what happens inside of FTR. It's one of the daily update videos that I do. I upload it to WOP, which is essentially a video library, or straight into Discord, where it's designed really just to get everybody pushing in the same direction. I want everybody looking at the same POIs, the same structure guidelines, and we're looking for the same entries throughout the day. So this is going to be pretty much unedited apart from the bad language, and it's essentially all what I would post into the group. Unlike the other videos on YouTube where I start off from scratch, the charts are already pre-populated. So everybody just can keep up with their own charts, making sure that they've got everything in the right place. We can all set the alerts at the same places, and we can all trade together. Now, I'm also going to show you a preview as to what it's like within FTR. And today's been a phenomenal day of trading. Everybody has come out today with profit. I'm going to show you what their results are. If this video has been helpful to you, feel free to apply. It is a gated entry, which means that I don't accept everybody into the group, but you may get an invite, and you will also get a free download of one of the entry strategies, which I use in conjunction with order blocks for excellent results. So link is below, and let's get on with the video. So this is one of the chart markups that I would typically do. So I'm just talking to myself, but it's to be uploaded onto WOP for everybody to be able to see. So just looking at a chart, I'm coming in just before New York session, so you can see a time down here, but it's just to see where the market's gone, where the points of interest are, and what we should be looking for, really. Now, at the moment, there's two pairs that I trade, so Euro USD and Pound USD. There are others, but really, you don't need more than this. So we always start off on the weekly, just sort of having a browse at this. Now, I'll do the call at the start of the week, and we will just assess and see what direction we think that the market's going in. Is there anything sort of clear with the direction? Looking at GU, not really. We're inside a range between that wick and this wick, and at the moment we're just sort of inside barring it. So weekly is a macro schedule, so really we just don't know what's going to happen on the news. There's a lot going on sort of globally, financially, so we can just sort of take general analysis from this. We'll drop down to the daily and see what else that there is, and are there any key sort of points of interest that I think is going to be relevant for how we're trading. I'm going to say we have a daily POI up here, and the reason for that is this came in and it mitigated an order block. You could say that price had chopped down over here, and even though it sort of recovered up a little bit, we've got a massive wick up here where it's done that mitigation. It hasn't broken those previous highs. It has broken the more recent lows. So it looks as though that the market is coming down. Now, I would be more inclined to take short trades based on the macro analysis, which is the higher time frame. So if the market does start sort of creeping up like this, I know this is a daily and we take trades on much lower time frames, but it's good to be able to know what direction the general trend is. And a lot of this is just based on currency strength. So, this is pound US dollar. It means essentially that the pound is getting stronger against US dollar. So, but if it comes back up into this area, this is where I would be really keen to drop down to an H4, the M15, the M5, and the M1 to really try and get a concise entry, and try and feed it down to another area where we're likely going to run into issues. So I would say down here, where there's been a sharp turn in the market, sure, it didn't break the highs previously, but this is going to be an area where there's probably going to be a reaction at least, and it might feed up to, or just slightly beyond for a sweep, the previous highs before it reached it. So I'd be looking to take profits around here. I know theoretically you could hold it, but what's the point? You might as well just bag the money and get into another trade with more equity. So I'd be looking to take profits around here if I was doing a sort of swing trade, but I'd be very confident getting into a short here if we step ladder up to this sort of position. So I would expect something like that to happen over the next few months. So let's just get rid of that and clear it up. And I know this is just a built up area, which I think is probably going to get a strong reaction. So dropping down to the H4, we've now got my current chart markups on it. Okay, so we've just had a break on the H4 boss. Now, on my videos on YouTube, I do talk about, boss and chock really regularly because it just helps with beginners' understandings of market structure. The thing is that it gives us a directional bias that we're going to hit boss about 2/3 of the time. That's just a statistic. It doesn't matter that much. Okay. So the real element is the market flow in the higher time frames. So at the moment, the market is coming down. Boss has literally just been broken. I want to say, oh no, it hasn't. But essentially, we're heading down. We're heading down on the chart. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. We've just broken through this previous area, which looked as though it was going to break. So I'm just going to talk you through my analysis of this. Think of this as a bit of a range, okay? So when you've got two big wicks on either side, typically speaking, that can be counted as a range within itself. The market sort of pushed up from here initially. So I'm just going to draw this on like so. The market pushed up from here, which was a sweep, which also was a mitigation of a previous kind of order block or structure. Pushed up, big old rejection off of here, pushed up again, didn't break the high, which indicates that this is probably a fair bit of strength up here. Okay, this is the one which also mitigated an order block on the higher time frame. Now, we came down and we rejected massively. Now, at the close of this candle, this would have looked very much like, oh, okay, we're going to go up. And I'm pretty sure that was the consensus at the time, at least for me. But the way which we recovered was so slow, it indicated that the market was just not going to have enough steam and enough energy to push beyond this. So we opened on Monday, which was yesterday, or Sunday night anyway, with a big gap down. Now, gaps don't always get refilled. Regardless of what people say, it's about a 70% chance that they do get refilled, but it's not 100%. So I wasn't necessarily expecting this to be refilled, but bearing in mind that there's essentially a new high based on the close of last week or the high of that previous candle, and price came up really aggressively. It did look as though the market was just going to go. We ended up getting a sweep of liquidity on this last candle as well with a bullish pin bar, which is really, well, essentially really bullish. Followed by that, we've got the imbalance. But we came up and we essentially just swept the high. So we took any remainders of liquidity, but more than anything, it's created an order block. It's people who thought that the market was going to go up beyond here are stuck in those positions. That's the way that I see it anyway. And anyway, the market's just absolutely melted. So since then, it's just absolutely gone down. It's crashing down, and it's going to head down towards the next order block. Okay, so next order block or the next area where the imbalance has been taken is just here, or you could even say there. To be fair, but I think it's going to be here. I'd rather cover that whole candle, which was a big push candle, again with a sweep to show momentum along with the imbalance after it. So I think that the market's going to head down to here at least. And based on current price action, that's another 27, 28 pips. Doesn't sound like much, but when you're using an entry of like 3 pips to maybe 5 pips, you're looking at, 5R up to 9R, which is good. That means that if you're risking, 100 quid, you're looking at making maybe 500 if you're right. Maybe close to 1,000 if you get a smaller entry in there. So that's essentially what we're looking at doing. This has been broken, but it's not closed. Okay, so I don't typically get rid of these old zones until we've actually cleared them, because it's always good to see if the market starts getting stuck at a certain price, and that's where you can start looking at the bigger numbers over here. I can get rid of this because it's old now, and I can also get rid of that. So when you start getting rid of, these lines and these previous sort of structures, it gives a bit more of a clearer picture. Now, I'm just going to draw where there's another sort of it's not an order block, but it's an area where price could head to. It's where the liquidity is. It's where there was the exchange of orders, which initiated this move. Now, I'm going to drop down to the 15-minute. On GU, we're not really using the 15-minute, but I'm going to use the 15-minute just for this demonstration anyway. And then we'll narrow it down again and again. And then we'll do the same with EU as well. And Just so you know, all of this just gets uploaded to WAP, and I tend to post the updates in Discord as well, which I'll try and show you if I remember how to do it. So again, we're just looking for areas where there's a point of interest where price has that incentive to come back to. Okay, ideally they're order blocks. They're not always order blocks, but it just shows a lot of liquidity. And liquidity, in my eyes anyway, is where the exchanges took place. It means that there's opportunity for the exchange to happen again. I find that there's very little liquidity in the areas of imbalance because, markets just kind of shoved. So quite like this because it's just outside of the H4, which means that if the market comes back in, sweeps the H4 kind of, generally speaking, but it's also got that incentive of that exchange of orders to head back down. And if that happens, that means that our trade can actually be 60-ish pips, which is better than the 27, which we talked about a minute ago. In addition to that, there is another one up here as well. So back up in this H4. So it's just narrowing down those points of interest. So if we look at the range size of, let's just do this one. The range size of this, 40 to 16, that's 24 pips in size for an H4, which is kind of average. This is quite a small H4, and it's only, 12 pips. But if we can narrow down the area where we're looking for an entry, we're not necessarily using a pending order anymore. Sometimes we'll use market entry, sometimes it'll be a stop order, or a lot of the time it's going to be a stop order, or it's going to be the reversal or one of the reversals, which I've linked in the description below. When you apply to join FTR, you also just get a download of one of the entries. It's good if you're using it in conjunction with order blocks. So yeah, if we could get a trade, let's just say for argument's sake, if this worked and it held and it was the perfect kind of entry setup, this is the kind of risk reward ratio that you're looking at. And a lot of you will be looking at this going, oh no, there's no way you can do this. But I'll just ask a guy in the group in a minute and ask him what his risk reward ratio is today so far, because I know that he's in a couple of trades on GU and the same with EU, and the market has just sank. Doesn't happen every day, obviously. You can see days where we just hit barcode action, but on the days where it does go, we're in the money. So yeah. So GU, all good. I do tend to use the sessions indicator sometimes as well, just to show you what had happened during Asia. But lately, I'm just not really paying attention to it. I'm combining the price action strategy with FTR. And the price action is really just how you get involved in the trades. We know where to take profit because that's the FTR strategy. We know where we should be getting involved because that's the FTR strategy. But how you actually take the trades goes far beyond what I've shown on YouTube over the last 3 or 4 years. You don't have to use pending orders. It's actually safer not to use pending orders, but that's another video for another day. But anyway, let's drop down to the M5 and see if okay. I was going to say, see if I can identify a trade that I can get involved with. And there's just at the moment, there's no opportunity for me to get in. With that being a low, there should be a reaction just off of this. So that'll be interesting to potentially come back to in a minute. But for me, what I want to see to get involved is either, chalk on a lower time frame, feed it back up to here, which would be counter trend, a bit risky. Or I want to see price sort of stop here, come back, and then get a type of break. Okay, there's two types of continuation trades that we take. And we'll either look for a pullback and get involved on an order block on a lower time frame, or we'll take it off the break. But we've got the stats on it. It's really good, really powerful. But it just means that when the market is trending, you don't have to wait for a deep pullback now. You can just get involved in the trend. So that's what I'll be waiting for now. I'm actually just going to load up my actual broker. You can't see it on the screen, but I'm just going to get ready for this trade. All right, I like it. And the spreads are 0 at the moment. That's good. Okay, so that is pretty much GU kind of sorted now. It is just going, look at that. 40 pips in the last couple of hours after 4 hours of nothing. But that's the market for you. Okay. As long as you're setting your alerts and you're using, the boss lines more than anything, just to keep track of when it is breaking out. Awesome. So anyway, the next stop really should be, a reaction off of this line because it's significant structure. Okay. So we should get a reaction at least, but the next stop really is down here. If the market keeps on breaking, this is the next area where we want to take profit. So at the moment, that's GU. Let's go over to EU and do the same sort of analysis again. Obviously, when I'm doing this inside of FTR, it's way faster because I'm not explaining everything in this kind of detail. But generally speaking, I'll do both of them within 10 minutes. But it's palatable enough for people to be able to look at um, really quickly at the start of the day and just say, "Oh, right, okay, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, my points of interest are in the same place as Paul's. Okay, we're all looking at this. Perfect." It gets everybody on the same track, all working together. Some of which I'd found in the group a couple of years ago was that it was a lot of people were looking at different things, and I just had to really, really simplify it. And it's been really helpful with the market entries being different. So with the entry criteria being different. So this is looking at the weekly for Euro USD. Again, big wick up there, big wick down here. So really, there's a range. Okay, range bit there and range bit there. So we're inside of this range. But if we follow the previous trend, the market was going up. But the most recent rejection with the wick was here. So we have to pay attention to that. Yes, we're in a general uptrend. Yes, um, you know, the, the currencies are pushing up, but in reality, this is a sign of reversal, but that is a sign of continuation. But most recent price action prevails. So I'm thinking that we should be heading down. Who knows? Because something new might be tweeted out over the weekend, um, and it will change the face of it. So anyway, over to the daily. We want to try and see where all the liquidity is. So down here, there's nothing to do apart from this, which we've already got marked up. So that's another thing as well. Because I'm live trading, my charts are constantly updated, and they remain the same. With the YouTube videos, they're not. With YouTube, it's very much a case of like, right, blank chart, I'm going to show you from scratch how to get going. With the actual live charts, they're just ongoing. So, it's like the updates are very easy. You can stay on top of them really, really quickly. And it can take a few minutes a day to trade, or you can day trade and use the price action strategies for your entries and get sometimes a couple of trades a day, sometimes 15 trades a day. So anyway, we have bounced off of this perfectly, like almost pit perfect. And it looks like we're heading down. We should just be heading to here. So if we look at that, that's 200 pips. That's quite a distance. It's on the daily, so it might take, another week or so to get there or more, but it's definitely looking bearish to me. That's a bearish pin bar rejection. And yeah, it's actually swept those sorts of highs up there. So it does look bearish. We might wick like this, and if we do, then you'd be thinking, okay, who knows? But let's drop down to DH4, and I've got my other markups on here as well. We have come down to this previous area and bounced off of it. Again, we didn't break any sort of highs, no major highs or structural highs. We didn't even get chalk or even internal chalk. So I would say that these lows are going to break. In addition to that, this H4 has been tapped once, twice. It will probably go now. So I would expect us to break below here and get down to at least this one. Again, that looks fairly structurally strong, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the one that we were looking at on the daily. Oh, it's not. 60 pips, 62 pips away. So again, similar to GU, EU and GU, like I'm guilty of this as well. I've said that they're really similar. They're not. They are, but they're not. You can't expect just because EU is going down that GU is going down. And also just on a day to day, the charts can look similar, but they're not the same. And they do act differently as well. Going up here, I can get rid of this now because that's been taken. This has been taken as well on a lower time frame. And I'm just going to mark up so oh, just so I've got it visually on the chart where the imbalance ends. But that is not a point of interest, just so you're aware. But I would expect price to at least come up to here. It would probably be that on the M15, but this is not an order block. It's just where the imbalance ends. It's where I normally place the alerts like that. And I've already got the alert on this line here. So can drop down to the 15, see if we can get an entry. I've just missed an entry. So yeah, that's fine. But there is an opportunity to get in again, which is right here. And I'm going to, this is one where it is set and forget. I can literally set this and leave it. So I'll just do that now. So yeah, anyway, 15-minute order block right there. That's quite a decent one. But you would look to take profit just down here. So really not far, maybe like a 1 to 4, which is the bare minimum that you would do. 1 to 5, that's fine. And that's just to keep you mathematically on the right side of trading over the long term. So anyway, we've mitigated everything. If this goes, I would expect us to work our way into here. This was that H4, which didn't look very good, but we're just gonna get rid of those old markings. That one worked. Yeah, that 1 minute. So to sweep off of that at 4 o'clock yesterday. Yeah, I remember talking about that last night. But anyway, there's an M15, there's an M15. That one within the H4, I would love to take if the opportunity came around again. But it'd be something like this. At least for the moment, it would be that. But I do think that this area is going to break. Although I think that because this is a significant structure low, I think we'll have a reaction off of there. So that would be the safe take profit, 14 hour. And if you could shrink it down to the actual box, 17. So that'd be good. Anyway, look at the 5 minute. We have the opportunity for an entry straight off the bat here. One there, and yeah, that's it. So again, if I was to take this entry, I'm not going to explain it too much because there's people paying for that information. It's not really good enough for me. However, if I keep hold of the trade and it continues, then who knows? Like, it could just go for ages. So yeah, I'd be quite keen on that. I won't be taking this trade, come to think of it, but that's just because the risk reward ratio of where I think it realistically will react from, it's just not worth doing. So, and then on the M5, that looks very clean. Now we'll look at the 15 again. Yeah, okay, I can see why now. Okay, so pretty much from this, everybody's got their New York session marked out. Okay, so this will go into what this is where everybody can look at what it is that I'm looking at, what I'm looking for. Everybody can make sure that they're learning correctly and that their charts are looking the same in terms of markups. So yeah, it's really quite beneficial. And I'll just show you the results of a couple of the guys in the group because it's really good. We're all just trading in the same direction. It's nice and easy. It's only stressful when we go into that barcode action, it can be really frustrating, and we do get a fair amount of stop outs, but when the market starts moving, we're laughing our heads off. So at the moment, wow, GU is just dropping. I know there's somebody in a trade from probably here. I want to say it's probably that trade. If I can point out where they got in exactly up here. And failing that, they got involved here. And right, I can work out what risk reward ratio they've got. At the moment, they're floating at a minimum of 10R with just one trade. I think they're in 2 trades on this pair, and then on EU as well, they're in another one. But I'll try and post it when they tell me. But yeah, if you guys want to join FTR and and be part of this, it's a no bullshit strategy. It's like a lot of people believe that it's not possible, but quite frankly, we beat the market every day, every week, every month. It's the best out there. So yeah, apply to join, and hopefully I'll see you in the group. So yeah, this is just a quick look at what is in the Discord. And we can see that everybody's just literally working together. This is it today. So, we're constantly going, and people posting their markups, what they're thinking of the chart. I'm in 3 EU and 1 on G1. Sorry, GU, using the entry methods, which is cool. Um, showing where everything's going. We're all just doing exactly the same thing. Other than that, yeah, we're all doing pretty well. So I just want to take you to the main point, that here, I was in and hit my target, walking away with 8.6R from GU, still in 2 on EU. Still in the same one from EU earlier, hoping to reach H4 boss. My TP is just below that. So everyone knows exactly what they're doing, where they're heading, and we've all got each other to ask questions to if we're unsure as well. Still in 1 on EU, feel like I've missed a lot of opportunities today. Would have hit quite a few stop losses from a more aggressive approach. If this hits the ATR, then I'll have 7.5R for the day with 0 losses. Not a bad day. And then this guy got slipped by 6 ticks. Like, it happens. Yeah, it happens to me regularly. Um, and then he's in a couple of trades as well, which is really cool. So we're all doing pretty good. So and out wide to well, that's dual discipline. Uh, that would be the trade that I said that I wasn't going to take because it just wasn't worth the effort there. But just inside here, I'll just point out this is a general sort of like start here bit. There's an onboarding which you'll get. So 3 days, it's like 3 sessions where it's just really intensive going through each of the strategies because there's 5 strategies which I teach. But they're the 5 strategies which have combined into FTR. And these guys are doing a combination of FTR and the entry techniques, which I teach as well. So there's 4 entry techniques and a fifth one, which is like a safety technique, which in reality can be carried through to any trading whatsoever. So it's not specifically, just to Forex, but it works across literally everything. Got the live orders, which is more like an accountability thing. We don't seem to use it that often anymore, but some people get a bit scared placing their trades. So I created this. Just say place it, leave it, walk away from the chart. Chart setups. I haven't used this very often lately, but this is where I will post, my thoughts and ideas on the market of what's going on. And there are times where I want to try and find it. Yeah. So again tonight, I've just had something personal. That's where I'll do the video just straight into trading view. Oh man, that took a while to come out. But yeah, there's a lot. Then we've got the trade journals as well, if people want to use that. But it's really just sort of, yeah, it's like, it's we just want to try and talk about stuff which has gone wrong, and obviously it's not really being used that much. But that's fine. Market news as well. That's coming soon. That's something which I'm setting up. There's a training lounge if people want to share their screens, which quite often I do. Then we got a community where I recommend people just introduce and say hello. Casual chat, which is just bits and pieces. Community photos. So it's us on a traders meetup a couple of years ago, which was good fun. Then there's me at a charity event. Wins and milestones. I'll just post through people's wins. Yeah, 40% in 2 days. Here we go, 20 and a half. Look at that for results, So really cool. 45R for me. Yeah, I'm doing a video on that pretty soon. And 25R isn't bad. I'm on 45R for the week. See, like everyone's just getting phenomenal results. And these are real results. They're not bullshit. Trading psychology, just bits and bobs which we put in there. Couple of key strategies. There's FTR and there's the LBO. But generally speaking, really simple. Which one suits you best? Trading plan, illustrations, and all that sort of stuff. So this is where we go through, the main sort of details on it, optimal setups, tasks that people could do. And then there's the resources for asking for help and stuff like that. So yeah, this is, that's basically the Discord is really good because we're all doing the same thing. It's not a dick swinging contest. We're not all trading different strategies. We're trading the same thing. So therefore, everybody is winning together. And when I originally created FTR, that was the purpose. I didn't want a general trading group. You know, if that was the case, I would never have made it. I don't want people coming in and talking about other strategies, and that's why it's application only. I need to make sure that people are going to learn what it is that I'm teaching, and not come in saying I've got this idea, I've got that idea. Doesn't matter, this is mathematical. Like, we all do the same thing, and if you start introducing new concepts, people get confused and then they start losing. Of course you can improve on what it is that I do and what I teach, but what's the point? Like, is 20 hour a week on average not good enough for you? Anyway, if you like it, apply.